Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Sophia and I work in film and TV as a production coordinator. I'm a freelancer and I live in Perth, Western Australia with my boyfriend, and I absolutely love everything about personal finance, budgeting, saving, investing, all the things. And today I wanted to do a little setup for the month of August because I'm going into another month of a bit of uncertainty around work, how much income I'm going to have. And so I'm really hoping that this maybe helps someone who has a variable income when it comes to setting up their budget for the month and, not having a set paycheck. So let's get into resetting for the month of August. It is already the 6th of August, so I'm a little bit behind, but I've just had a 4-night hospital stay, which was not very fun. So I'm sort of just slowly getting back into things and recovering from that. So yeah, let's go into it. We'll look at my budgeting spreadsheet that I use every single month. It's amazing. It's for the whole year, but it's broken down month by month. And so you'll get a good sense of the one that I use. And I will also link it below if you like it, because I think it's the best spreadsheet ever. I've used it for a few years now, and they have got a new one out, which I haven't yet upgraded to, but they've sent it to me. So I will be using that in 2026. So let's dive into it. So the first thing I do like to think about when I come into planning for a new month is I do like to go down to my income section and pop in some of the numbers of what I think that I'll be getting for that month. So it's a pretty low income month, unfortunately, in terms of what I've sort of budgeted. There might actually be a little bit of freelance work, but I'm not going to put that into the budget just yet because I'm still waiting to hear back on whether that job will be going ahead or not. And so I don't really want to plan with that money and then not have it go ahead. So I'm just putting in, I'm doing a bit of work at the moment for a TV series, which is awesome. That's just sort of freelancy work. And I will be invoicing them for the work that I've done. And so I should receive that this month. So I'm putting in $2.5 grand for that. I'll obviously have to factor in my own taxes and stuff, but we'll see how we go with that. And then I'm also doing some work for a film festival this month. I've decided to help them out. And so this sort of accounts for 3 weeks of, a couple of, 20 hours a week of work. So I will be also doing that. So it's pretty low in income. My bank interest will probably be around the 350 mark, but we'll see how we go with that. And then dividends, I'm not expecting much. This is never something that actually comes into my account. Personally, it's just sort of reinvested, but I do like to track it to see where I'm at. So we're not working with much money. I feel like we're going to be in a deficit potentially. So we'll see how we go with that. And then I also like to, look at my bills and make sure we're on track with what we're thinking for the month. I think for the most part, my fixed expenses will stay pretty similar. They don't generally change that much. I do think I will end up having to, because August is a longer month, I will end up probably having to recharge my phone twice, which is a bit annoying, but I ended up using a lot of my data while I was at the hospital because they didn't have any Wi-Fi for me to use. And so I just used up all my data and ended up having to buy a new lot of data for the month. But all in all, these fixed expenses will pretty much stay the same for the month. I'm not looking to cut any of these out. I do have my rego for my car due in August, so I'll get that bill pretty soon, but I do have a sinking fund for car expenses, and so that is already fully covered. I don't really have to worry about that. But it will mean just when I have a future job, I will be topping up that sinking fund so that I don't have to worry about that next year when it comes around. I do pay it annually because it works out to be cheaper. So yes, I will have that coming up this month, but all in all, about $2,165 in bills for the month. And then if we come across to my variable expenses, this is where I, especially on months where I'm not getting as much income, I definitely like to sort of pare it back and keep it pretty simple and try not to spend too much money. So thankfully I have started off the month pretty well, not spending much money. I haven't had to buy any groceries or fuel or anything like that yet. I have had to go to the pharmacy, and depending on what doctors say this week, I might have to go back, but hopefully I have enough medication to sort of get me through these next 2 weeks of recovery, and then I'll be on the other side, I'll be healthy, I'll be well, I'll be back to my normal self, and then I won't have to spend any more money at the pharmacy. So yes, let's go through the variable expenses, and I have plugged in a few numbers, but we'll work out whether that feels right. So 150 on fuel. My car is pretty full at the moment because my boyfriend really kindly filled it up for me, but I do anticipate that I'll have to fuel up probably twice, potentially 3 times, depending on what I do. But I think for some of those, I will get reimbursed for that fuel. So I think 150 is playing on the safer side. If I have to fuel up a couple more times, then without it being covered by either the film festival or the TVC that I'm working on, which they should be covering my fuel. So let's leave 150 in there just to be safe. Groceries, 400. This is a lower month in general, but if we look at July, I only spent $311 last month. So I'm kind of hoping to keep it around the 400 ballpark, just eat a lot of simple meals from home, keep it pretty, nothing crazy, nothing too outrageous. Eating out, I brought this way down to $50. Last month, I only spent $36.89, which is incredible, I think. So hopefully I can keep this in the $50 mark. I'm just trying to keep social events and, going out to eat at a minimum because it's winter. People are sort of, keeping to themselves a bit. And especially with what I've just dealt with, I'm trying to, not have too much contact with people for a week or so. So that should hopefully be okay. Depending on how I go with at the festival, I generally do, have to eat out a little bit during the festival, but hopefully some of that should be covered. Personal care, I've just put $25 in here. I'm not really sure what I will put that towards, but maybe if I need any, special products or anything, I will pop it in there. I shouldn't need to top up on my Naked Harvest. We're all good with that. Bike bar, Pilates, and the gym. I'm keeping it pretty simple this month because of my ordeal. So I will keep my class pass for the month, and I'll probably just keep my Fit Stop running and then just use those for the month while I'm, recovering and also like busy at the end of the month. Chiropractor, I do have a chiro appointment booked in, so I will probably keep that, and that works out to be $46 once I've got my insurance back. Pharmacy, we have already gone over what I've budgeted, but I'll just leave it at $30 and hopefully I don't end up having to spend too much more. $10 for parking, which is pretty standard. I don't usually have to pay for parking day to day, but it's just in case I have to go somewhere and pay for parking. Like this afternoon, actually, I probably will have to pay for parking because I have to go to the hospital. So I will have to pay for parking. That's pretty annoying. Maybe I'll put $15 in here just in case. And then we've got gifts. It's my mum's birthday in August, and so my sister and I will probably split a gift card or a gift of some sort. That'll end up being $100 is usually what we spend for her birthday. And then we've got a couple other categories that I've just got zero in. I don't foresee me spending any money in these categories. Financial, I do. Over here, I've got a spot for my accountant. I do have my 24-25 tax with my accountant at the moment, so I'm not too sure when she'll start to process that, and they just sort of direct debit the amount from my account that it costs for like the whole thing. It's usually around $450 for her to do my taxes, which is totally worth it because every year she generally is able to get me some money back, which is great. And being a freelancer, it's a bit of a weirder you know, not so straightforward way to claim in terms of what you're able to, you know, claim as an expense. And also, you know, I have jobs where I get per diems and different things like that, which makes it a bit trickier for me to know what I'm doing as a non-tax person. So yes, that should potentially come out this month or next month. I'm just leaving it blank until I know when that's going to happen. And then we've got ClassPass, $59. They debit that today actually, so I just need to make sure that that's gone through. And I'll just keep that for the month because I've really been enjoying that. I will put my link below in case you do want to try ClassPass because it's genuinely amazing. I feel like it's such good value. I can go to like 5 Pilates classes for the $59, which is honestly a steal, which makes it, you know, $12 a class, which you can just never get at a studio anywhere. So I've really been enjoying that. We don't have any debt, which is amazing. And then let's go over into savings. Now I have had an investment goal for the year, but because I'm on a bit of a lower income for, you know, the past couple months and then this month as well, I've really just had to pare it back and not really put as much into my savings and investment goals, which is a bit of a bummer, but I know towards the end of the year I will have some jobs on again and it will be quite lucrative. So I'm hoping I can just, you know, finish off those goals for the year in the latter half of the year when I have more income. So I think I'm actually just going to pull this back to $250 for investments. I do want to pop some money into my, I have already put almost $300. That was my interest that I put into my house savings account. So maybe I'll make this $300 for my house savings account. We're almost at the goal of $50,000 saved in that account, which is amazing. Very good, and really helps to, you know, tick off that goal for the year, which is awesome. And then I will probably leave the rest for now, to be honest. I'll probably end up just saving $550. Now it does look like we do have some money left over, but I just want to see how we go for the month, to be honest. I want to keep it really simple and I don't want to overpromise, because with freelance work, you just don't know when you're going to receive the money. It's, even if you know, send an invoice and it's got a 7-day, you know, payment deal on it, you just can't really guarantee that that's going to be met, which is unfortunate, but it's just the game of being a freelancer. So that's how we're looking for August. It looks like I, you know, hopefully will have some money to play with at the end. And I'll probably, you know, put some more money into my investments because I have had to really scale that back for the past couple of months, which is a bit sad, but I can take you into June. June and July were definitely, you know, I only invested $710 in June, and then in July I was only able to invest $50. So those were my basic investments, like the automatic ones that just go into my Raise and Spaceship account. So pretty sad. And my income for July was only $1,831. So extremely low, really not ideal, but I did plan for this, but the job that I was supposed to be starting this week actually fell over, and so I am just in a bit of a hiatus until another job pops up. So I'm just taking on freelance jobs and trying to fill the gaps in terms of getting some income and stuff, which is really frustrating, but it is the nature of being a freelancer. This is the 3rd year in a row that this has actually happened to me, where I've been attached to a job and it's, you know, all looking good, it's going to go ahead, I have my start date, and then it falls over for whatever reason, whether it's financial, casting, or, you know, other elements that impact film going ahead. So hopefully, you know, 3 is it and that doesn't happen to me again in the future, because it has been really frustrating every year, you know, for the past 3 years for this to happen at the same, you know, point in time as well in the year. So it feels a bit like I'm cursed, but you know, the past 2 years that that's happened, I got a better job, or I, you know, was able to go somewhere different for work. So it ended up working out for the best, and I'm just holding on to that it's just, you know, it's working out for the better, and something better is going to come along to replace the job that I was supposed to be on. So we'll see how we go with that. But yeah, a bit of a tricky month, to be honest. I am, yeah, just sort of keeping it really simple. I think this really does showcase the feast and famine nature of being a freelancer, and having months where it's just not that lucrative. You have to really be careful with where you're spending your money and just keep to the basics. So I think I will just continue doing that, doing my thing, and not letting it get to me too much, because, you know, I have savings there that I can use if I need to, and I have, you know, a supportive boyfriend that's happy to go and get groceries if, you know, if I don't feel like spending heaps of money on groceries for the week. So it's definitely a bit tricky, but we'll get through it and it should be fine. So yeah. So for anyone else that is going through a little bit of a dry patch with work at the moment, I hope you don't feel as alone, and I hope that this showed, you know, sometimes I have to keep it really simple, and it's okay if you have to say no to things in the period of time that you're in until you know what's coming up and you've got something locked in. So don't feel guilty. I think it's just what happens in this industry. It's part of, you know, the ebbs and flows of being a freelancer. There are blessings, of course, in being a freelancer. The fact that I got to go to Spain and have time off, and I'm not really, you know, asking for time off. I would love to have a job, but it's also nice to have free time and to just be a bit of a freelancer for a little bit and work the schedule around what I would like to do, and also really focusing on recovering at the moment, because I think the hospital stay was definitely an indication that it's good that I've had this break and I can slow down and just take it easy for the next couple of weeks until the work picks back up again. So hopefully this video was helpful, and I might end up filming sort of a like what I spent in a week video, because it might be helpful to see how I'm sort of keeping it pretty simple during this time. So let me know in the comments below if you would like to see that, and of course please like and subscribe if you like these videos. I really love sharing finance information and, you know, my experience as a freelancer in this sort of industry, because I don't think it's as common to have information like this out there, because a lot of people out there have a regular, you know, paycheck that they have coming in every week, and it's a lot easier for them to plan. So hopefully this has been helpful for some of you out there, and I will see you in my next video, which I think will be my Spain recap, everything I spent in Spain, and, you know, going through all the numbers for that trip, which will be really fun. So thank you again, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.